Getting close. Not
That
quite
hard.
there. We go.
Good.
Yep.
You stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Let's see, we gonna do roll call.
Commissioner Clausen.
Here.
Commissioner Cox.
Here.
Commissioner Graven. Here. Commissioner Phipps.
Here.
Mayor Hall.
Here. Consent agenda. Items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. No separate discussion of these items will occur unless a council member requests the item to be removed from the consent agenda. If an item is removed from the consent agenda, it will be considered elsewhere on the agenda for this meeting. Prior to asking for a motion to approve the consent agenda, the mayor will ask if anyone desires to remove an item from the consent agenda for public discussion. Would anybody like to remove an item? Hearing none, I move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on September the 17th, 2024, the bills and payroll for the first half of September 2024, and the mayor's bills for the Illinois Municipal League Conference. Can I have a second to that motion?
Second.
And roll call.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Graven.
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. This portion of the city council meeting is reserved for persons who desire to address the council. The Illinois Open Meetings Act mandates that the city council may not take action on comments received on matters that have not been identified on this agenda. But the council may direct staff to address the topic or refer the matter for action on the agenda for another meeting. Persons addressing the council are requested to limit their presentations to 3 minutes to avoid repetitious comments. We would also ask you state your name and address for the record as well as stand when speaking. Would anybody like to address the council tonight? No volunteers? Anybody online? Like to address? Anybody like to address the council?
You can unmute it, right?
Okay, hearing none.
Okay.
By yourself. Yeah.
What's that?
None.
We go on to the next item, which is acknowledging retirement. Sam?
Casey Alexander, 20 years of service. He is retiring. He's 50 now. He's going to go out to Lakeland and start his next chapter, working for B. Jeff Branson. So wish him well. That, as you know, Casey was our SRO officer for years, and we'll never forget 7 years ago what he did for us and all of our children there at the school. So wish him luck. He couldn't be here tonight. He wanted me to tell you all thank you for everything. And appreciates everything you've done for him, and he wishes he could have been here.
Very good. I'm sure he's going to be around, so we're going to see him in the community and get a chance to yell at him and give him a hard time, say something to him. That'd be good.
If you're out at the new complex, you can, walk.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Good person.
All right, new business. I move to adopt resolution number 2024-3281, adopting and supporting the implementation of the 2024 Illinois Housing Development Authority Community Revitalization Plan. Can I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Commissioner Cox, and any comments, any questions anybody has? Hearing none, take roll call.
I do have a
Okay,
question.
good.
At the last meeting, we had, I think there was some comments about possible changes
Right.
to this.
Right.
Are there any changes and have they been implemented?
So there have been no changes added to the document as presented. We didn't have any direct submission side of comment from Commissioner Graven. So basically, we can dive into that discussion on that specific point if you'd like. And happy to talk about that. I've been, kind of.
But we haven't made any changes at that.
Yeah, no changes to the document as presented currently. We're totally able to make changes at this meeting, strike out a particular sentence or something like that, should council want to do that. But really just as presented, still on the agenda, I think Amy did a pretty good job summarizing, what's in place on the document during the meeting. Happy to answer specific questions you all might have.
Okay, that answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just under the impression last time there were maybe some And maybe some factual stuff that was wrong in it or some typos or whatever.
Wasn't there, you're not confusing this one with the other report that we had?
No, there was one typo that she mentioned that she saw in there, and that's going to be edited, but beyond that, it's still the same exact thing.
Okay.
All right. So, roll call then.
Commissioner Cox?
Yes.
Commissioner Graven?
No.
Commissioner Phipps?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Mayor Hall?
Yes.
Motion to adopt resolution 2024-3282, approving and entering into a professional service agreement between the Coles County Regional Planning and Development Commission and the city for the processing of the safety action plan and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement.
And a second to that motion. Anybody?
I'll second.
Commissioner Graven? And any comments anybody likes to make on this?
So this is actually hiring, because of a grant, hiring Coles County Regional Planning to look at the sidewalks and the safety intersections out there at Detro and Swords is the main focus, but it's actually looking at other parts of the town as well. Just an overall study of different intersections and walkable sidewalks. So we couldn't do it ourselves. We hired Coles County Regional Planning, part of the grant, to do this study for us.
I do have one question, Mayor. We have two agreements with them. Kyle, one, and this, I don't know which is which, but one of these goes from April 22 to December 31. So it's basically, 21 months? And then the other is on a 12-month. So what's the difference?
The grant cycle.
Grant cycle. Okay. Just got that. All right, thank you.
And what was the name of the grant again? Or what-
That one is
program that
the
under?
was it safe, not Safe Streets? Or is it Safe Streets?
Safety action.
Yeah, Safety Action
Thank you.
Plan for Safe Streets. So,
All right.
Okay, any other questions? All right, roll call.
Commissioner Graven?
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Cox?
Yes.
Mayor Hall?
Yes.
Motion to adopt resolution 2024-3283, approving and entering into a professional service agreement between the Coles County Regional Planning and Development Commission. It says Commissioner, but Commission, is it Commissioner? Is that correct?
Commission.
Okay. And the city for conducting the completion of the lead service line inventory and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement.
Any comments on that one anybody has?
do we have a second yet?
Oh, second, yeah, excuse me.
I'll second, Mayor.
Commissioner Cox now.
So we did apply for through the EPA, a grant for surveying lead lines. That was part of the requirement that we needed to get done. We did get a $50,000 grant. We were going to hire interns through Lakeland. The grant says that it has to be contractual. So we're going through Coles County Regional Planning, who will be hiring the same interns, and we're doing a contract with them for this grant. And so that 50,000 is basically just to pay for them to go out and look at each individual meter pit and find out what the lines are going from the meter into people's houses.
Okay, any other questions, comments? All right, roll call.
Commissioner Phipps?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Cox?
Yes.
Commissioner Graven?
Yes.
Mayor Hall?
Yes. I move to approve council decision request 2024-2539, authorizing the employment of Nicholas P. Wilson as a probationary police officer with a base pay of $68,700.44 for the Mattoon Police Department effective October 19th, 2024, contingent upon successful completion of background check or background, physical, and psychological exams. Can I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Commissioner Clausen, and comments.
Yes, Nick Wilson, he's here with us tonight. He grew up in Charleston, graduated from Charleston High School, went to Lakeland College, got his associate's in criminal justice. From there, he went to EIU and got his bachelor's degree in sports management, and then went on to get his master's in sports association. Played baseball for Lakeland and walked on as a punter for EIU Panthers.
All right.
Sports background there. We need him when we play the firemen in softball next year again.
So he's a ringer.
He is a lateral. He's experienced. He's got 3 years in at EIU, and also works part-time for Lakeland College again, the Jeff Branson out there, and comes highly recommended by Jeff Branson. And this will be a replacement for one of two guys that are leaving as technician services full-time.
Okay. So I have a couple comments. And one of them is that, sorry, you're from Charleston. But if you save a win, you're on probation for a year, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if the police department wins next year, I think you'll be all right. So a lot of pressure.
An 11-run gap.
Yeah. You heard about that, right? Yeah. Well, that's part of the deal. So,
My best.
okay. Then the other thing we always,
We're there. Play that. Pick that day for that purpose.
then we always invite everybody that's new, whether it's police or fire, to say whatever you'd like to say about why you came aboard, or, a lot of people do a presentation for 10, 15 minutes. But if you do, come up to the speaker and just say whatever you want.
Okay.
Usually everybody has an audience, so you're kind of alone.
I'm alone again.
Yeah.
Nice to meet everybody. Like Chief Gaines said, I am from Charleston, so don't hold that against me. Yeah, looking forward to the opportunity to serve the community, regardless of where I grew up. But yeah, I'm just very excited for the opportunity to come work on a great, distinguished department.
Very good.
Good.
Anybody have any questions?
Good hire.
Thank you.
Good job.
Good job. Glad to have you.
All right.
Need roll call.
Yes, roll call.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Graven.
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Motion to approve council decision request 2024-2540, authorizing the employment of Andrew Hilligoss as a park maintenance 2 employee with a base pay of $41,808 effective September 30, 2024, contingent of completion of a successful background check and drug screening.
Okay. Anybody have any comments, anything?
Just the process, Mayor, we,
Need a
Second. for-
Oh, yeah, excuse me a second.
I'll second, Mayor.
Cox, Commissioner Cox.
we had 12 applications. We narrowed that down to three in-person interviews with TJ and Kyle and myself. All 3 candidates very, very qualified. Andy brings about close to 2 years' experience in the parks, highly recommended from TJ. So it's kind of the difference on the hire, but the 3 candidates we did interview, hopefully at least one of those maybe looks at Public Works down the road when we got some openings. So good process, good hire.
All right.
Andy was also a baseball player, so,
Yeah.
Sam, hurry up and get there. You might be able to recruit him on your team
Yeah.
somehow.
Okay, so
All right.
I guess we're gonna,
Your age.
You get a truck? He wins.
I have a truck.
In like 10 years.
I didn't brace that.
All right.
Roll call.
Now we're going.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Graven.
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. Department head reports, starting with city administrator. Fargo.
Just kind of like Commissioner Clausen said, we had interviews this past week, and they were very good. Actually, at least maybe even looking at one of them to fill another position, maybe over in Public Works. So we'll get that information out to the Public Works Department. I've been working on some other staffing things. I think you all heard yesterday, we're losing a grant writer, so we'll be working on getting that. I've been reviewing different grant writer positions throughout the state, trying to figure out what the going rate is. And so we'll be talking with you on that here in the next day or two before I send out an ad for the paper. Continue to work on grant. Alex Whitney and I are working on infrastructure grant with Ameren and Agricel. Right now, we're trying to get a good definition of what the grant really is, what's covering, not only what Ameren needs to do to the substations to bring them up. I'm hoping they're wrong on their price because their price was $3.8 million worth of work, and the grant's only a $3 million grant. So, and a 20% match. So at that point, that's probably a little too high for us, but we're trying to work with Ameren and see what we can do. And then we'll be also trying to partner with Agricel and maybe a couple other companies up in that area on 1000 North. Other than that, it's kind of business as usual. Had some complaints this week, but getting those taken care of through different departments. And I'm going to take tomorrow off, so I won't be answering phone calls tomorrow.
Hopefully.
Hopefully be on a lawnmower and listening to music. So, but other than that, I'm around, and you guys can always get a hold of me if send the squad car out. That's all I have, and I'll open it up for questions.
Any questions? All right, City Attorney Dan Jones.
Not much new with me, business as usual, trying to keep up with all the various nuisance property things we got going on. We've had a lawsuit filed against the police department, one of our officers. We got a traffic ticket, wants to sue the department over that. We're going to beat that off. But otherwise, mostly the usual stuff.
Is that a way to get out of those tickets?
No, it is not.
Any questions? Right. All right, next is Susan O'Brien, City Clerk.
Just gearing up for the insurance renewals, open enrollments, processing reports, all kinds of fun, all kinds of calls. Business as usual.
Okay. Any questions for Susan? Finance, Beth Wright.
The auditors are working on the financial report. And I've been advised that I should have something this week. I've submitted new addresses to Department of Revenue for the Remington Road Business District. So those, the 1% business district tax will apply to them beginning January 1. The 2024 Treasurer's Report will be published shortly. I think Susan's been helping me get it over the newspaper. The unclaimed property report's been filed. Getting started on a tax levy for 2024. And the recommended contribution for the fire pension has gone up by $127,000. And the recommended contribution for the police pension fund has gone up $100,000. So those continue to grow. I looked in our total recommended contribution for the two funds together is $5,865,000. Which is a lot. I passed off revenue tracking. Major sources of revenue through the end of September. Basically, we're flat from where we were a year ago. We're down from 2 years ago, but I think that's because the property tax, the third installment came in September that year, whereas I didn't expect it until October. In fact, it should be hopefully this week. And the unrestricted cash in the general fund today is 10.6 million. And the first meeting in September is 10.7. So that's holding steady. And if there are questions, that's all I have.
Beth, I have one. This is our start of the third year with the new CPA firm and a 3-year contract. So is this, when this is up about this time next year, is that go out to bid, or can that contract be kind of negotiated and more years added? Because it was hard to get a firm.
And we might have a local
Okay.
firm that would be in that.
Yeah. And I'm addressing that to you and Commissioner Raven, so just curious how that works, as we're in year 3 already, so. All right.
Don't look for them to go down
Yeah.
as
Well,
fewer and fewer CPA firms are doing audits and due with staffing issues and having to pay. That's probably going to be about normal, if not more.
Yeah, well, that's why I was asking, because it was, we had to scramble when Brad Cole from the IML helped us find this firm, so.
But I think it's wise to actually put it out for bid.
Gotcha.
when Contracts up, just be good.
Absolutely.
Competitiveness, and the dynamics could change in the world too, so.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? Then we have Public Works. Setting in for Dave Clark is Alex.
About the only thing I got is hopefully the roadway off the sports complex will be finished up towards the end of the week, first next week. And supposed to start on the second phase of the sewer project on Monday for the sports complex. So, lift station should be up and running hopefully by the end of next week. We'll see still. Other than that, that's about all I got.
Any questions?
Ameren's some of the
Hold up.
hold up out there on the lift station, so.
Any other questions? Fire? Ross?
Like to congratulate and welcome aboard, Nick. Second best department. Since the last meeting, the guys have answered 173 calls for service. Inspectors have done 4 inspections, plus they've been spending quite a bit of time out at the new establishments. They were out at Chick-fil-A most of the day today, helping them get finalized. They did their EMS, ARF training. Then we had some grain in a hopper brought to us from South Central FS out of Humboldt. And then Total Grain Marketing loaned us the wagon to carry it in. And then Farmers Grain there in Dorans donated, or will be giving it back, but gave us the grain in that hopper to practice grain bin rescues with our tubes and some stuff. So they did that the last couple of weeks. Starting on our school fire alarm time drills. And I wasn't at the last meeting because I was at the Chiefs convention in Peoria. And that convention, I had an opportunity to go through a GEMT class, which that stands for the Ground Emergency Medical Transport. I hadn't been able to wrap my mind around how that program works through the Department of Health and Family Services. That's the Medicaid, portion. For so long, Medicaid would only pay if the bill was $1,000, would only pay 200 of it, and then you would have to write that. It was my original understanding that this program helped capture some of that $800. That is not the case. Illinois was the first state to do this. Since then, 22 other states have gotten on board along with this program. So I have that's due every October. It's like a 13 or 14 page document that I have to fill out with all kinds of numbers in it, such as depreciation of our vehicles, buildings, vehicle information, all our pension costs, everything that costs to run, the ambulance. Then this thing comes up with a formula that calculates all that number, and I have no idea who came up with it or how they came up with it, but the end result is a new rate that we are allowed to pay. So that's where this past year, we saw 140,000 extra dollars brought in because of this. So, was able to wrap my head around it a little bit more. They said this program's not going away anytime soon. One of the big questions is, why do we have to give half back to the state? So essentially, we increased our revenues by $280,000, but the state stays out of it. This is, our fees that we charge, once they're collected, we have to give half to the state. That's where, because they aren't receiving any of the monies up front anymore to then pay departments. It comes straight to us.
So is that the difference between what we normally would have gotten versus what we're getting?
Now, that I haven't really dove into yet to know exactly what the percentage increase. In talking to Charleston, who's been in it multiple years, their revenues increased from 40%. They went from, no, 20%, I'm sorry. They went from 40% collection rate to now it's 60 to 80. I believe is what it was. Is that what?
I think that's right.
Steve told us. So, next year, once we get this, I may be able to start figuring what the differences would look.
Okay.
That's all I've got, unless somebody's got anything else.
Any other questions? All right. Chief Gaines, please.
Nick, congrats again. Keep here is right. It is the second best department. Public Works is awesome. And I mean, at least you're not working for number 3 over here. I'll keep it short. I'm talking up tonight already. 52 arrests in the last 2 weeks and 909 calls for search. That's the invoice.
Any questions? Arts and tourism?
Just a couple of quick notes. Angelia had a little health issue this week, and so she wasn't able to be here this week. But Mindy and Kara, the staff, is working on the Chamber Expo preparation for the city and staff, and our booth out at the expo. Also, the upcoming photo show and the holiday artisan show will be coming up this fall. And then, of course, Lightworks is getting hot and heavy, and we'll be flipping the switch here before we know it for the holiday season. So that's it in a nutshell for tourism.
Okay. Any questions anybody has? All right. Community development, Alex?
So yeah, like Kyle mentioned, working on that substation upgrade grant. Outside of that, Steve has been working on some of the addresses for the sports complex. He used the large format printer today, and he's really just going to work getting all that done. There's a lot of work that goes into that, so I really just want to give him some props. Outside of that, we do have an accessory dwelling unit and a replat coming to the planning commission soon, so that'll come to you all as well. The replat is for a property at Emerald Acres for the hotel. And the ADU is just a fantastic first use of that in Mattoon. It's for somebody with a disabled child that wants to live in a large garage that they have and renovate that so that their son can stay in the principal building while they're able to provide better care for their daughter in the garage. And so, awesome first use case of that in Mattoon. Today, Dan, I'm going to talk to you after this. We found out who the new owner of Brown Shoe is. So interesting development there. From there, we were approached by Blue Cross Blue Shield again. And basically about an outdoor fitness court grant. And so we're seeing how we might be able to get that placed at the sports complex potentially. It's kind of similar to what they have at the YMCA, but through Blue Cross Blue Shield. We've applied for that grant previously, but couldn't fund it just due to budgetary constraints. But somebody at Blue Cross Blue Shield mentioned that they would be able to kind of potentially move that up the chain and get it fully funded. So outside of that, also did a joint application with the Douglas Hart Nature Foundation for the Chicago Region Trees Initiative grant, which would provide for a ridiculous amount of trees being planted throughout town, specifically at Emerald Acres and other areas that Douglas Hart is connected with, and a fully fledged tree inventory. TJ has put a lot of work into that in our former application. And so we just kind of rebranded that and partnered with Douglas Hart to resubmit. And then today we inspected the Commons. And if you haven't been out there, it's that new development by Jeremy Yost on Old State Road, essentially. And it's phenomenal. It just looks top notch. And then last two things here, working on a countywide tourism grant with Coles Together. William from Coles Together should be reaching out to Angelia and Lori, respectively, from both cities. To try and get some of that working. It's an EPA grant that looks into the benefits of having an outdoor tourism plan. If you aren't aware, places that have invested in outdoor tourism have grown exponentially in Illinois specifically, according to some Illinois Extension studies. But it also includes downtown revitalization planning, tourism planning for that, and also business traction like breweries, things like that. And then the last thing, and I'm kind of taking off my city hat here. We, as Celebrate Downtown Mattoon, will be at the next council meeting. We have an agenda item coming up for the drone show. We've all spoken to city council about that. And we're just really excited to get that going. We've raised about $15,000 today. We need 20,000. So that's where our request is coming from. And it's just going to be an incredible opportunity for Mattoon families. We're also interested, maybe for next year or something like that, in investing in a parade float. So we might be looking around, trying to find different ways to fund that. Happy to take any questions on any of that.
So have you applied for tourism for the extra 5,000?
Yes, we did apply, and we were told that that does not necessarily fit what they typically fund.
So was that board decision, or was that,
That was not a board decision.
should it not go before the full board to let them have that decision? I know it's not I know you can't answer that.
It doesn't fit the general guidelines of the tourism grant and the requirements for it.
But does tourism, support the bagel bites? How is that different as far as like the overnight stays and so forth? I mean, that's what, over the years that I've dealt with tourism, it's all based on overnight stays. I get that. And the statute says that, but it also says promote tourism or the overnight stays. So Bagel Bites, I don't think really promotes overnight stays. So what is kind of the difference here?
So it comes down to sponsorship and what the dollar value ends up being, I think. There's been more along the lines of sponsorship money to some of those events downtown as opposed to direct funding.
But this sounds like an awesome thing. I mean, it's a national company that's bringing a drone show that I think would pull, not only support the downtown, support Mattoon, but it would also bring people. I mean, you can't put a night stay on an inaugural type event because you don't know. But being that the event is at night, being at the event, if it's publicized properly, I think will bring in people. So I think it fits right up tourism.
It's something we can look at.
I think it needs to go before the board. I think the board needs to make those decisions as a whole.
Any other questions on that? Okay, let's see. I think the last thing we have is the comments from the council. And let's start with Commissioner Phipps.
Thank you, Mayor. Gosh, Public Works, well, congrats, Nick. Welcome aboard. If you want to join the Public Works softball team, that's. Do we have one? No. We're too busy working.
There we go.
Anyway, Public Works, as Kyle said, there's still 2 or 3 openings over there that we still have to fill. At this point, we're really trying to get some, they're working awfully hard, trying to be very diligent about getting the crack sealing done for winter throughout town. The oil and chip looks awesome. I don't think I've ever seen that many streets get done in 1 year, or one time. So well done. Continue to feel questions, concerns from clients on various topics, from roads to nuisances, and passing those on to various people, and continue to get questions about the new or the ballot initiative on the city manager form of government. So other than that, that's all I have.
Okay, any questions? Commissioner Clausen?
Thank you, Mayor. Nick, welcome. Nick and Alex were both on the All Century Church League softball team. So Alex was quite a player in his day. So if you want to join up with police chief, and we're just going to get a bunch of ringers. That's where we're going. Anyway, about a year ago, we were announced, and thank you, Alex, for the OSLAD grant. Last Friday, fishing pier was put in behind the marina. That's about a $30,000 project. Also from that grant, just in the last 11 months, we've resurfaced the parking lot for $135,000, $130,000 in erosion control, riprap, and other things on that. Picnic tables, and then we've got projects for 3 new playgrounds at the west and east campgrounds and the beach area. So that grant is roughly, we've made about $400,000 in improvements just at the lake. And it's looking good. And I think we'll start seeing more and more people here. And, you know, that goal of a destination is going to take off there. Speaking of lakes, the campgrounds close on October 15th. And at that point, they just start winterizing, trimming trees and getting everything done. Out of 103 campsites, we have 11 that are non-renew. They were due yesterday, but we've got a short list to fill all those. And parks will start the festival, getting ready for the Festival of Lights. They'll start that 2 weeks from today, October 15th. That's all I got, Mayor.
Any questions? Commissioner Cox?
Officer Wilson, congratulations. Thank you. Welcome to Mattoon.
Thank you.
Glad to have you. And that's really all I have for this evening, except I'm also receiving quite a few phone calls and texts on things of inquiries on the city manager form of government on the ballot. So that seems to be a hot topic with people. So
Any other questions? Commissioner Graven?
Congratulations, and I won't hold you coming from Charleston against you. Welcome to Mattoon. Just because of the rivalry between the two towns, so that's all I have.
Okay. Got a couple things. Mine are not things that have happened, but things that I think we need to think about. I'm not really looking for answers right now, but in 5 weeks, we will know what the vote outcome is from the manager form of government. I have no clues to where it might end up, and we do get a lot of questions. There is a meeting tomorrow night at Peterson Park. There's other things coming out that you'll see, but there is a lot of questions. The things that I think we need to be prepared to talk about, again, we don't do anything right now, but we need to be thinking about this because this could generate some work after we find out what the vote is. Number one, the city ordinances have to be changed to fit the new form of government. We most likely need to do, it's up to the council, but my view is that we ought to do a search for a city manager and go through the same process that we went through with Jeff and the fire department, where we did a search and we used the fire department or the state chiefs group, fire chiefs group. And there's a similar one for city managers. That doesn't mean that anything's going to change as to who we have now, but I think we owe it probably to the voters to at least see what's out there. So it's going to do a couple other things for us. It will give us a good feel for who's out there, what they might cost, and, if we do make a change. So I want people to think about that. And the last thing is setting goals and objectives for the city down the line, I think are going to change a little bit because the city manager is going to have a lot more responsibility for goals and objectives. And that, we ought to do that early in the year. We don't have to wait, of course, until April when the new council is on board. We can become a city manager form of government before that, if we so choose. That's up to us. But there is quite a bit of work to get done, even if we don't do it until the new board's on. There's a lot of things to get done before that time. So if you have any comments or any ideas about what you'd like to see happen, again, I'm not talking about spending any time on it yet, but I'd like to get a list of those so we can be, everybody be represented on that discussion, because it is an important step for us. So I don't really have anything else. Anybody have any questions for me offhand? Anybody else have anything? If not, I take a motion to adjourn.
I'd make a motion to adjourn, Mayor.
Can we have a second?
I'll second it, Mayor.
Commissioner Phipps, and roll call.
Commissioner Raven,
No,
Commissioner Phipps,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
No.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Meeting adjourned.
you didn't vote.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't choose.